Cloning is used across many countries for agriculture and farming. Having to clone an organism has some sort of advantages and disadvantages, which build up this topic furthermore. But what is cloning? Cloning is a procedure that genetic engineers do to clone an organism that has the same type of DNA or genetic copies so they are identical to each other. There are multiple procedures that can be used to produce genetically identical copies for biological entries. Researchers have cloned a wide range of biological materials such as genes, cells, tissues, and even the whole organism itself. Now we'll be discussing about the advantages of cloning. One major advantage of cloning is that new plants are genetically identical, so typically you're adding more into the environment. With the new plants come with all the same desired characteristics that the original plant had. This allows mass producers to grow more plants if they have difficult time to grow the plant from the seed. Another advantage is when original organisms have difficulty reproducing or takes a long time to reproduce again, but the genetic copies tend to breed much faster, therefore reproducing quicker. Lastly, some plants have many varieties that do not produce seeds, but genetic copies have seeds that are dormant for a long period of time that can reproduce more seeds and can grow furthermore. Now we'll be discussing about the disadvantages of cloning. One major disadvantage is that if one clone were to be harmed by a certain disease or change its environment, most likely all of the other clones will be influenced by it as well. This makes the disease spread across most of the plants in the ecosystem, affecting every plant in the ecosystem. Secondly, it leads to less of a variation, so there's less opportunity to create new varieties of organisms in the future. Lastly, the success rate for genetic cloning is fairly low and does not occasionally work at times. Now, having the advantage and disadvantages discussed in this video, I would like to talk about my personal opinion of cloning. Personally, in my perspective, I'm very against cloning because firstly, it's a type of process that isn't fully mastered by a certain individual, mainly because of the cost issue of cloning of a certain organism. Due to this, there's many mistakes that occur during the process of cloning something. Did you know that the success rate of cloning goes from 0.1% to 3%? My second point, in my opinion, is it also tends to eliminate the diversity in our environment. Let's say if a single disease starts to harm one plant, most likely it will harm every plant in the ecosystem, since every single plant is identical to each other. If this were to happen, this ecosystem will be destroyed due to the disease that spread across each plant. My last point for my opinion is cloning crops also alters other genes, such as causing higher mutation rates, lower genetic variations, and can overtake another species that can lead to another's extinction. And who wants an extinction, right? Well, this comes to the end of my video. I hope you learned quite a bit about cloning and its advantages and disadvantages. In the comment section below, please tell me your perspective about cloning. Are you against it or are you with it? Well, thank you for listening, guys, and have a great day. Peace. Oh, and subscribe to my channel.